This comic is rated R for anatomically correct doll nudity and violence, just like I like it. Coming to paperback and e-readers, Isis Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Pre-order your copy of Isis Dark Incubus at Amazon.com and other online booksellers everywhere. Before I get into a review of the first issue of Shrine, I wanted everyone to know that the SJS Direct 2024 catalog has kicked off. And it's kicked off with John Haynes' Illuminati, which is now available in paperback and digital format on Amazon.com. And at Amazon, you can get the paperback version of John Haynes' Illuminati, the latest book in the John Haynes series, and you can get a digital version if you don't like paperbacks over on Kindle. And you can also get digital versions at Google Play, and you can get them at Draft2Digital and all of their distributing outlets such as the iBookstore as well. And this month we will be launching the second book of the SJS Direct 2024 catalog, Isis Dark Incubus, which kicks off the third story arc of the Isis series. And you definitely want to pick this one up because this one deals with Isis's love life and is one big action-packed supernatural adventure. And on May 24th, I'm going to be releasing the third book in the SJS Direct 2024 catalog, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons, and this one deals with the tail end of finishing up an epilogue on the vampire saga in the SJS Direct universe. Now, I got my copy of Shrine #1 about 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to eagerly go make a video of this book because it's one of the best comics of 2024, but I had to wait for two reasons. One reason I had to wait was because I had a lot of video requests from viewers as related to different subjects to film, and the second one was because the art from Isabel and Alexa Lowe is so bold and dynamic that I wanted to make sure that I captured all of the details as related to the story as I was reading it for the review, and could really tell everybody about what was going on inside of this comic. Because when it comes to Alexa Lowe and Isabel as related to their Metal Shade series, I've read issues 0, 1, and 2 multiple times, and each time it's a experience because I always find something new inside of the details of their art. And I really wanted to give this book multiple readings because it's just absolutely fantastic, and I wanted to see what new things I would find inside of this fantastic first issue. Now, this first issue allows us to go more in depth in getting to know the character of Shrine, who is a part of the Metal Shade team, and allows us to learn more about her and her background in this solo adventure. Now, this first issue of Shrine that I got on Kickstarter came with some fun extras, like this lanyard right here, which it came with, and it came with some great other rewards, along with this art by showing the entire Metal Shade team from Alexa and Isaac here, and another great colored solo picture of the Shrine character, and a picture of her arch enemy that's coming up in a future issue. I don't want to spoil that too much because this villain is a major player in her story, and it also came with a nice bookmark and a picture of another bad guy on a magnet, and we got some chibis of Shrine and her arch enemy, which reminds me a lot of Starfire and Blackfire, and it looks like some sort of door hanger. It came up of Shrine as well. So these are all the extras that came with the Kickstarter first issue of Shrine, and this first issue really does a good job of answering those three critical questions of who is the main character, what they want, and why should we care, in less than half a panel of this comic, which has a cool title Chainsaw Academy, because that's another thing I love about Isaac and Alexa's creativity, is that they just put all sorts of crazy ideas and visuals in their comics. I mean, one of the things I loved about one of their Metal Shade books is that they were traveling inside of this robotic anglerfish. I mean, that was just a fun, fantastic visual, and the visuals here are just as fun and fantastic. And I really like how we get a quick introduction into who Shrine is. We get on this first panel right here. I mean, it does a great job of introducing the main character of Shrine and letting us get to know that there are two entities inside of her, which make for great contrast, in that she's got an AI personality known as Eve, and she's also got a spirit inside of her called Naya, and these two entities live inside of this Shrine doll, which is anatomically correct and was an adult doll, and both of them are going outside of the intended original manufactured purpose to become a superhero in this post-apocalyptic sort of cyberpunk world of the Metal Shade universe. Now, as the Shrine doll is looking down from a rooftop of some sort, she sees a girl, Kiana, going to some sort of place in this dangerous world. And in this dangerous world, she's going into this alley where these cyborgs are basically seeing her as tonight's entertainment. And the visuals of these cyborgs is just plain crazy. I mean, look at these. It's like he's got a big yellow head, and then you've got these other cyborg types, and Shrine is waiting to look at them as related to their so-called magical defenses, because this is a nice contrast of spiritual and technical. And this is Kiana. She's run into the trouble with these cyborgs, which are, again, more crazy visuals, like something out of the Blade Runner. And we see Shrine going into action in less than 3 pages to save this girl. And as we get these visuals, again, they just really are just incredible and just explode with action. And they explode with action, just with bold, dynamic lines and bold, dynamic art. I would love to have Alexa Lowe and Isaac Bell do a pin-up of Isis, the goddess next door, because I think that she would look great in their style. I mean, the art just really pops on this book, and the action is really graphic and gory. So this is not one for the kiddies, because, like I stated before, this is rated R for violence and anatomically correct doll nudity. So this is not a book for the little kiddies, but for all of us old school 90s comic fans who read comics like those from Image. Yeah, this book is one that will take you back to those days in the 90s of books like those that were on the Image publishing imprint back then. I mean, the art really reminds me a lot of Jim Lee's Wildcats. And again, I don't want to give away too much of this book, but this book really does a great job of introducing us to the Shrine character and introducing us to her part of the Metal Shade world, and allows us to get to know her a lot better. And we really learned a lot about her and her background from this one first issue, which does a good job of setting up the character as related to her being a hero in a solo book, and does a great job of really introducing us to some of the bad guys that we saw in those pictures. And again, I don't want to give away too much, because again, I want you to pick up Alexa and Isaac's books and learn more about these characters. That's why I'm not going to go too far into it, but this chick is a very dangerous one from what I've seen, and she's one who is in a scene which is a bit more rated. So this woman is one of the dangerous enemies, and again, she seems to be a doll similar to Shrine that's possessed by another spirit that is running counter to the one that's inside of her. And we get to see those Shrine have and her powers as related to her mechanical powers and her spiritual powers done so well as related to her being possessed. And the Kiana story, this guy seems to be a major player as a villain, but I'm not going to want to spoil that all for you. No, I want you to go out here and pick up your own first issue of Shrine and catch up on all of those fantastic and dynamic visuals for yourself, because you cannot just sit there and read it digitally. I mean, when it comes to Alexa Lowe and Isaac Bell, this is a comic that you have to experience in hand with a paper copy. That's the only way you're really going to really get all the fantastic details of an Alexa Lower Isaac Bell comic. You're just not going to be able to get that from just reading it on digital. Now, I know a lot of folks like to read comics on digital, but no, this is not one you can do that with. No, this is a comic that you have to experience in hand, and that's what I had to do as related to Shrine. When I heard it came out, I said, no, I can't just get the digital. No, I've got to get paper copies from here on in, because look at the colors on this cover. It really explodes with color and dynamic energy. I mean, this book, basically, it just feels alive. This art just feels alive. I can see the passion and heart here as related to the art. And again, as I look through this book, again, it reminds me of the anticipation I would have back in the 90s when I would see old school Jim Lee comics. But the visuals here are just 20 times better than anything Jim Lee would put out. I mean, the colors, everything just comes alive. And this is a book that you just have to experience in hand, and you have to experience it in hand in order to understand how great the art is on this book. Now, I only had 2 nitpicks as related to this comic. I mean, there was a panel where I just had a bit of a struggle with the transition as related to how Shrine lost her arm. And it was like there was a battle scene with Shrine in this sort of these 2 pages here. Was a bit of a problem. I had a hard time following it. I didn't know I had to go from left to right over the 2 pages in order to understand how Shrine lost an arm in this fight. And the other issue I had with this book was I had to go all the way to the back to get the concluding page, because they put a lot of other pages in front of it, and I guess that was a printing issue as related to the book. I mean, that was the only 2 issues I had with this book, but this is overall, the story on this book is absolutely great, and I feel like I didn't pay enough considering all of the rewards that I got on the Kickstarter. I mean, got a Hex sketchbook of the next upcoming book in the Metal Shade universe, and all of the other fantastic extras. I mean, I feel like I didn't pay enough for all of this great stuff. And I feel like I didn't pay enough and for this absolutely great package of one of the best books of 2024. And I'm highly recommending you go out here and pick up Shrine #1. I mean, hopefully they have it on their website so you can get your own paper copies. I mean, a lot of times with a lot of Kickstarter books, a lot of guys don't have their websites up. But you got to have a website up if you want to be able to get those sales, because as a comic YouTube reviewer, I want to be able to steer sales over to the website so that creators like Alexa and Isaac can go out here and continue being able to make great comics and not just rely on the crowdfunding as the way of sales. I also want to see them be able to get sales all throughout the year. That's something I do with the SJS Direct imprint, and that's why I have my own comic, John Haynes at Death's Door on Lulu right now, is that I want people to be able to pick up the book all over the years, so if they, after the Kickstarter is over, they can continue to get the books, and they can also go pick up the back issues of books, because I really recommend you go get Metal Shade as well, but you don't really need to read Metal Shade and be able to read Shrine. That's another point that I really love about this book, is that it acts as its own entry point, and you can just pick up this book without ever reading the other Metal Shade books, but this book will basically draw you into the world of Metal Shade and get you excited about the world of Metal Shade, which is just absolutely one of the best worlds as I related to comics these days from the indie scene. And I really want to again recommend you pick up Shrine #1, because it's one of the best comics of 2024. Now, my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is now available in paperback on Lulu.com, and you can pick up the first full comic where the man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed adaptation of a John Haynes series adventure. You can find this 32-page comic on Lulu.com right now for the same price as the 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to help me be able to get my next comic to the marketplace, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box, and that'll help me to be able to raise the funds to be able to create the next SJS Direct Universe comic and be able to continue being able to have the money to be able to buy great indie comics from creators like Alexa Lowe and Isaac Bell, and be able to get their comics a larger exposure to a larger audience on this channel. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available on Lulu, John Haynes at Death's Door. The man who rules the world takes on the Greek god of death in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes comic book. Get your copy of the first John Haynes comic at lulu.com today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.